Krishna Mahabharat ki. Those ever who can sit on the floor, kindly come and take the first row. Those who are on the chairs, if you can sit on the floor, because many others are going to come, they will be needing the seats. If you can, please come in front. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Let us welcome His great Chaitanya Charan Prabhu with loud and enthusiastic Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. If someone else the harmonium to keep there, the whole place will be filled up. And I request all the devotees to come friend to our sing. Hare Krishna. So we have Prabhuji here. It's already we are in the 15th day of the war, if I'm right. Right? And still many are alive. So Prabhuji is going to finish everybody before he leaves. Maybe another 2 or 3 days. Tomorrow and day after also we have sessions. So today especially, so today especially was a request that Prabhuji can spend a little bit of time exclusively about Supreme Lord Krishna in Mahabharat. Of course, Prabhuji did spend time along with other characters, but something, devotees are always waiting for that extra rasa. How many are waiting for that? I really appreciate that you're coming back-to-back sessions in multiple satsangs that are happening, and again you're coming very good. So let us hear attentively. Let's stay here with our minds here. And so format today is Prabhuji is going to speak at least for an hour about Lord Krishna to begin with in Mahabharat, and then we are going to have question answers. Until all the questions are answered, we are not closing the shutter here today. This can be 10 or I don't know, I'm just kidding. But we'll try to see how many of the questions that you posted will be answered. But there might be some which may not be answered, so we can work through a video which will wait for. Hare Krishna. So let us once again welcome ourselves to Kurukshetra and also Prabhuji to Gachibowli Satsang with 3 loud and enthusiastic. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnanam Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaho Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtadeshatarine Vancha Kalpatarukascha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's wonderful to be here with all of you today. And if we consider the character of Krishna, there are this matter. No one. So I'll start speaking. Later. Comes back. So we have in the Mahabharat and in the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam is much more Krishna-centered, where we have in the 10th canto, right from the beginning, Krishna's entire life is described. And in the Bhagavatam, the focus is more on the devotional dimension, where Krishna is doing extraordinary activities and is being worshipped thereof. Is it working?
It's working.
Okay. So, in the Mahabharat, there is a particular focus, although the focus shifts at times. In general, in the Vedic tradition, if you see, there are multiple levels of understanding of how a person may progress. So this is the earthly level. We are here in this world. Now from here, a person may go down to the hellish level. And that is considered disaster. Like Krishna says, Trividam Narakasyedam, there are 3 gates to hell. Now for most people, they will instead go to heaven. Or at least they aim to go to heaven. That is Swarga. Now all of this is in the material world. And there is beyond this also another goal, that is the spiritual goal. Now, just for diagrammatic purposes, I am showing it here. In the spiritual world. And now there is going to the spiritual world also. So, the focus of the Bhagavatam is attaining the spiritual world. The focus of the Mahabharat is not so much that. Although it is not that it is neglected, but that is not the focus. Now, why is that? It is understood in the Vedic tradition that not everybody can advance at the same pace. Not everybody will be able to grow spiritually, because everybody is at a different place in their spiritual journey. And that's why there is an opportunity for different people to grow at different pace. Now, in general, in the past, we could say majority of the people would live piously. So we could say majority of the people would do some punya and go upward. If not to Swarga, there's also an intermediate destination that is called the Pitraloka. So Pitraloka is also considered a higher destination. So the idea is that in general, it's not that all ancestors of everybody go to one particular look. Everybody goes according to their karma, but the general understanding is that if an ancestor has done average level of punya, then they will go to Pitraloka. If somebody is doing extraordinary punya, then they will go to Swargaloka. And if somebody has done a lot of sinful activities, or papa, then they will go to Naraka. So in general, society was arranged in such a way that people would get elevated. And there are always people who would do sinful activities. And especially when the Lord descended, that is a time when there was a predominance of adharma. So, Sakale Nehamata Yogo Nashta Paradava. Now, because the driving goals that are taught about in the Mahabharat and the Bhagavatam are emphasized, they are different. So often the narration also becomes different. So for example, if you consider in the Mahabharat, the focus in the Vedic tradition, so our topic is Krishna and Krishna's protection, but to understand Krishna, we need to consider some things over here. See, there is the path of dharma, and then there is the path of moksha. The path of dharma is broadly the path of karma. We may call it karma kanda, but generally it is the path of karma. So by dharma, the idea is we improve this world, or we improve our life in this world. That when people live virtuously, when people follow dharma, then their life becomes better even in this world. So, for example, Ayurveda is a part of dharma. So that is not, it's not just a part of dharma, it's a part of this body of Vedic literature which focuses on improving the quality of life in this world. Now, in the moksha tradition, the focus is on exiting this world. So, you could say the entire focus is on what you can call as the purpose of life is to make an evacuation plan. The whole purpose of life is how can we make an evacuation plan to get out of this world. So it's not an improvement plan, it's not an enhancement plan. And quite often this is the focus of the Upanishads. Moksha. And of course it is the focus of the Jnana Marga. This is the focus of the Vedas. Now in the Bhakti tradition, there is a combination of the karma and the jnana element. Both of them are included. But there is a distinct tension between these two. It's like, dharma, artha, kama, and then moksha. The fourth goal is almost opposite to the previous three goals. Like dharma, artha, kama is all about getting things in this world. And then moksha is about realizing, this was not really worth it. It was only entangling. Get me out of it. But most people cannot, it's not artificially possible to jump to the level of moksha. A person has to come to that realization. So while there is a contradiction, it's not actually a contradiction. It is more of a progression, but a progression with a sudden change in direction, sudden change in understanding and evolution. So now the Mahabharat focuses on this dharma, artha, kama primarily. Now, so when you talk about the path of dharma, it is the path of dharma, artha, and kama. Now, after that, of course, moksha will come. But now, dharma can mean many things, but here it can mean duty, it can mean ethics. If you want to understand today's terms, it is discipline. Now, discipline can come from religious texts, discipline can come from social norms, the discipline can come from tradition, from culture. But the idea is, when one follows certain discipline, then one gets artha. And artha is broadly resources. Resources primarily center on wealth, but it is not just wealth. It's like, say, in a normal growth trajectory. Say, when a child is growing up, the parents may give some pocket money to the child. And they want to see how the child is using the money. If the child is disciplined, the parents trust the child, the parents will give more money. If they find the child is getting into unhealthy habits, the parents will take that away. So dharma leads to artha. So what applies at an individual level also applies at a broader cosmic level. Now, after artha, the word comes is kama. Now, sometimes kama is equated with sexual desire or lust, but that's not a very limited understanding of kama. Kama basically means various desire, but it's not just desire, it is more of desire fulfillment. Now, we have certain desires, and by disciplining ourselves, by gaining resources, we fulfill our desires. Now, when a person moves towards moksha, at that time, what happens is, the person understands that actually fulfilling desires, does not lead to the fulfillment of the heart. And therefore, the person starts thinking that actually I need to become free from the desires that I have been pursuing. Okay, gaining wealth, gaining fame, gaining position and power. These things don't really satisfy. So, till this particular time, the focus is on We are pursuing our desires in a healthy, holistic way, not in a disruptive way where my fulfillment of desires is going to damage and destroy others. That's the foundation of dharma. But dharma, artha, kama will eventually bring a person to a level where they start realizing that, that maybe there has to be something more in life. And then they start pursuing that which is more.
One inside.
This one?
Keep it. Keep it.
Okay.
Mustard has to come outside. No. Right. Right one is outside. One outside.
I want to moksha from technology. So now, if you consider this moksha is considered to be freedom. The technical word is liberation. So here, before that, we are pursuing desires so that we can fulfill those desires. And eventually we understand actually desires, they not only don't lead to fulfillment, but the desires keep increasing. And therefore there has to be some other way to live. And that's when a person starts pursuing something beyond this world. So in one sense, this is a natural progression. That this things grow gradually in a person's life. And now, of course, this may take, as Krishna says, bahunam janmanam. It may not happen immediately. So, in one sense, the Mahabharat's journey is this: dharma, artha, and kama, and that can happen in this world. That can also happen in heaven. So there also artha and kama can be there. Bhogaishwarya. Krishna talks about this, that in the Bhagavad Gita, that's what people pursue. Now, while this is happening, especially if one has a foundation of dharma, then what happens is, gradually one starts going beyond karma. So if there is no foundation of dharma, then what happens is, now the karma just becomes insatiable. Say for example, the male-female attraction is a natural principle of life. But when the couple get married, there is some infatuation, attraction is there. But then they have children. If they have grown up with dharma, then the focus shifts from just mutual gratification to taking care of the child. Then they have more children, they take care of the children. It's not that mutual attraction goes away, but it decreases. There's something more to life. So, but if there is no foundation of dharma, that means like people don't get married. People have simple, just they have irresponsible sensual indulgence. Then what happens is, okay, do it with one person, do it with another person, do it with another person. The karma becomes completely insatiable. And it can cause a devastation in society. So it's not that karma is not a purushartha, but karma eventually, if it is fulfilled on the basis of dharma, it helps a person to rise towards something higher. So that was this broad trajectory of the Mahabharata, is that one moves upwards gradually through the process of gradual growth. Now, in the Bhakti tradition, what has happened is that if you see, the Bhagavad Gita is a part of the Mahabharata, and the Bhagavatam is in one sense starting where the Mahabharata ends. The war is over, and if you see the Bhagavatam, the narrative begins with Krishna helping Arjuna to chase after Ashwatthama. So, after the Pandavas have been killed. So now, in the Karma Marga is where the path of Dharma, where we try to improve things in this world. Now, this is not completely to be dismissed. It's also important. Srila Prabhupada also, for example, has talked about this. It was not the karma marga, but he was talking about within the bhakti element also, within bhakti also, there is the aspect of improving this world. For example, he would say when he came to India, he said, I went to America with 40 rupees and now I have temples worth 40 crore rupees. So when Prabhupada said that, he was doing address to business where he said, doing business with Krishna is very good. So make Krishna your business partner. Something like that, Prabhupada would say. Now this is not karma kanda. But it is understanding that in bhakti also there are both these elements. Now if we are here in this world, in the material world, now Bhava's, in this case there is the spiritual world. It's not heaven, it's the spiritual world. So now we have talked about this earlier, that bhakti involves both these elements. The element of dharma in bhakti is that we want to transform the world. And the element of jnana in bhakti is that the moksha in bhakti is we want to transcend the world. So the transforming the world is, in one sense, the aspect of the dharma path. That live virtuously. By living virtuously, our life can become better. On the other hand, there is the moksha marga, where ultimately, even if you live virtuously, what is going to happen? Old age is there, disease is there, death is there. And this world is dukkha. You just transcend the world. And broadly speaking, now this is both of these are included in bhakti, but the vision or the emphasis of bhakti that is given in the Gita is more about transforming the world. The vision of bhakti given in the Bhagavatam is more about transcending the world. That in the Gita, what happens is Krishna tells Arjuna, you have to fight. Be an instrument in my hands because I want to establish the divine world. So on the other hand, that same mode could have been Parikshit Maharaj. Kali is coming, and you have held Kali back once, but we need to hold him back again also. So even if you have been cursed, fight against the curse. Protect yourself. Do something to counteract the curse. That could have been the mood. But in the Bhagavatam, the mood is transcend the world. Now it depends on how Krishna inspires different devotees. Both of these are aspects of bhakti. So when we are talking about Krishna's protection, in the path of dharma, the sense of protection is very difficult from in the path of moksha. In the path of moksha, the idea is if we don't get entangled with the world, if we can just get out of this world, that if Krishna protects us from getting mixed up with the world, that is the protection. In the path of dharma, Krishna empowers us to improve things in the world. And that is the protection. So now what happens for many of us, we are still very much in the world. As Rastas, most of us, the world, brahmacharis, we are also in the world. In the sense that the bhakti that we are practicing, it is more transformational bhakti than transcendental bhakti. Or rather, not bhakti is always transcendental, but our emphasis, the way Prabhupada wanted it was not that we go to Vrindavan and chant 64 rounds, chant 108 rounds. Prabhupada wanted us to function in the world. Transform means we want to transform at least some corners of the material world so that some level of spirituality manifests. So for all of us, transforming the world is an important part of our service to Krishna. That could be our home, that could be our community, that could be whatever our Guru Datta Desh is, whatever we have been given as our area of service. At the same time, while we are trying to transform the world, we also want to make sure that we are transcending the world. So as we want, by the end of our life, we want to be sufficiently attached to Krishna so that we can go back to Krishna. Once a disciple told Srila Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, I want to serve you life after life. And Prabhupada said, don't make me come back life after life to accept your service. So there needs to be some level of realization that this world is also a place of distress. So now with this context of how there are different visions of protection. So now let's look at how Krishna protects his devotees. We look at the Mahabharat storyline. Now there are many incidents. I won't go over all the incidents, but we're trying to understand this principle of Krishna's protection. So I'll be using this acronym PROTECT. We'll talk about 7 different ways in which Krishna can protect us. Now, of course, Krishna's ways of protection are not just 7, they are infinite. But we are trying to broadly understand. This will follow the trajectory of the Pandavas' life. So, P is providence. What does providence mean? Providence means divine arrangement, coincidence. You can say good fortune. So sometimes when Krishna protects, it may seem as if Krishna is not there, but like I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. So now if it's the first incident that happens, the Pandavas come to the kingdom, Bhima's prowess makes Duryodhana insecure and jealous, and Duryodhana decides to poison Bhima. So this is quite a deadly thing what we want to do. But he wants to poison Bhima, and he makes a whole plot, and he feeds him poison personally. And then, along with his brothers, he ties Bhima up, and Bhima, this is a slow acting poison. So he doesn't want to raise suspicion. So Bhima just eats the food and he falls asleep. And everybody thinks that he's just eaten and he's fallen asleep. But then it's poison, so he ties him up and then throws him into a nearby river. He gets some of his brothers also to join him in his dirty work. Now when this happens, it is that he is thrown into the river, but there are some snakes in that river. And those snakes bite him. And now he may say it's like a double trouble. We already had poison which is put in, and now snakes are biting. But what happens is, it is Krishna's, you could say, invisible arrangement. It is said that, you are saying, coincidences are God's ways of staying anonymous. So, coincidences happen. So what happens is that the poison that he was given to Bhima by Duryodhana, that poison is counteracted by the biting of the snakes. Now, those of you who have studied poison, I hope nobody has studied. But poison also has many different varieties. In fact, as one devotee showed me, he's studying Indian history. He says that there is something like 300 kinds of poison mentioned in one of the war literature. So there are different kinds of poison. So it is elaborate science in its own way. So the point is that somehow Duryodhana used the one poison that could get counteracted by the poison of the snakes over there. And thus Bhima, instead of getting killed, actually got revived. And of course, then after that he was taken to the god of the rivers, Varuna, and then he got nectar from over there. And he came back stronger. So here it was providence. The providence means what? We in today's world, we just call it good luck. Sometimes, I just had a lucky break. So it's important that we learn to see when good things happen to us, that it's not just good things happening to us. It's that it is Krishna acting to make those good things happen to us. So providence is one way. So this is Krishna is invisible, but Krishna protects us by arranging the circumstances to be just right. So when Srila Prabhupada went to America, Prabhupada had not studied American cultural history. Prabhupada, just the way things worked out, in 1965 Prabhupada went to America. And the way it was, many of you may have been in America, the American immigration laws, especially after 9/11, they became very strict, relatively stricter. Earlier it was relatively easy to do. So actually just 2-3 months before Prabhupada landed in America, in 1965, the American government liberalized their immigration. So that's how Prabhupada went with a 2-month visa, but he was able to extend his visa repeatedly. And one time the government was saying that they cannot extend your visa. So Prabhupada told one of his disciples, he says, you adopt me as your son. Prabhupada was the age of their grandfather. So the idea is that sometimes the circumstances just work out right for us. So Krishna protects through providence. Now, after that, Krishna often protects us through his representatives. So a devotee needs to have that vision that when Krishna is protecting me, it is not that Krishna has to necessarily come personally. So this providence was in the case of poisoning. Now this was in the case of burning. That Duryodhana made the plan to have the Pandavas burned at the Varnavath. And then Vidura was making his plan. So Vidura was alert. In the Bhagavatam, when Vidura comes back, and that Yudhishthira uses a very beautiful metaphor. He says, just like a mother bird spreads its wings and protects its baby birds from a storm and gives them shelter, like that you protected us. So he's primarily referring to this incident. The Pandavas were not, they suspected something. Why are we being sent away? But they didn't really know how serious it would be. They thought it might just be they are being sidelined over there. Duryodhana wants to have his place in the kingdom and they've been sidelined, but there's a plan to destroy them. So Vidura alerted Yudhishthira, there's going to be danger. He spoke in a code language. There are spies everywhere, so he had to be very careful. But Yudhishthira understood it. And then Vidura also arranged for the Pandavas to have a person who could dig a tunnel for them. And they dug a tunnel so that when the house was burned, they escaped through the tunnel. But when the house collapsed completely, the tunnel was not detected. So this was Krishna will protect us, but through his representatives. It is not that Krishna has to come personally on each and every occasion to protect us. And we need to be able to see that this is also Krishna's protection. That there are many people in this world who may help us, and when they help us, we could see that, okay, this person helped me and that's good. But where was God? No, this person helped me, and that is God helping me through this person. So when Srila Prabhupada went to America, at that time, he carried some food with him, but Prabhupada didn't have much money. And he couldn't carry much food with him. But then Sukti Moraji, who was a sponsor of the Scindia Steamship Company, she had told Captain Pandya that Swamiji is a vegetarian, you take abundant stock of vegetables with you. And when Captain Pandya's wife told Prabhupada that this is what we have done, Prabhupada writes in his diary, he kept a diary during his travel, he said that, and thanks to Lord Krishna for enlightening Sukti Moraji from within her heart to make these nice arrangements for me. So, you see, Prabhupada is grateful to her, but he's also grateful to Krishna. So, sometimes what happens is that when we expect help, we can see only Krishna should help me, or only people are helping me. People are helping me, where is God? But actually, it is often Krishna who helps through people. Now, of course, this is the question when people hurt us, is Krishna hurting us through people? We'll talk about that later. That there are different ways, but a devotee's vision is to see that actually Krishna is helping me. There's a well-known prayer. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva. Tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva. Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva. Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. So what this means, it's not that literally the mother is God and the father is God. But it is that the way the mother has taken care of us, the father has taken care of us, our friends have been our support, our siblings have been helped us grow up. So through whoever has given us any love, support, guidance, it is Krishna who has given through that person. So Krishna protects us through his representatives. And being able to see this holistic vision that it is Krishna who is helping us through the various people. Now, of course, we understand it directly through devotees, Yasya Prasad, Ad Bhagavad Prasad, and the spiritual master and the gurus. It is not just them. Krishna can help us through many different channels. Now, after that is Krishna may protect us directly through his omnipotence. Omnipotence means Krishna does something miraculous. So, Krishna is God, but he doesn't have to always exhibit his godhood to protect the devotees. So, for example, Draupadi was in trouble, then Krishna extended her rope so that it became an unlimited. So, while the disrober got exhausted, the rope did not get exhausted. And that is the mystical potency of Krishna. Similarly, when the Pandavas were in the forest, at that time he ate just a little morsel of food. And what happened? All the Durvasa Muni and his disciples, they all felt satisfied. In fact, they felt so full, they can't eat anything more. So this Krishna can use his mystical powers also. Krishna is Yogeshwar, not just yogi, not just a yogi, but he's Yogeshwar. He's the supreme being. And he can use his omnipotence to protect. And throughout history, there are many stories of Krishna doing miraculous things. And there are miraculous interventions by which, even when everything seems to be about to go wrong, Krishna acts and protects. Now, to the rational mind, the stories of omnipotence, they seem illogical, they seem superstitious. But omnipotence, which is often associated with miracles. Now, miracles, they are not against science. Let's say, how is this possible? How can something like this happen? It's not against science. Science here refers to the general principles or laws by which the world works. They are above science. Above means it is that we accept even the Brajavasis when Krishna lifted Govardhan hill. Afterward they asked, or they themselves seen Krishna lift Govardhan hill, they asked Nanda Maharaj, how did Krishna lift like this? So they also had that, it's not that they were so foolish that anybody would tell a story and they would believe the story. Hell is a heavy thing, nobody can lift it. To speak of one child lifting it for 7 days. But then they understood that while there are normal principles by which the world works, there are higher forces, there are higher beings. So when Gardacharya told him that actually Krishna is, Nanda Maharaj told that when Garga Muni had come to the Namakaran, he told us that this Krishna is just like Narayan. When they heard that, they said, oh, okay. He's just like Narayan, and he has great powers, they can do great things. So we understand that there are normal ways in which things function. But there are times when Krishna can intervene in miraculous ways. And Krishna can protect his devotees. So somebody asks, when Krishna has lifted up over the hill, if I want to lift, and this small glass on my little finger, I cannot lift it. To be able to lift it, I have to find out exactly where it's centered it. I have to find out where the center of gravity can balance it. If somebody asks, how did Krishna find the center of gravity of Govardhan? Krishna doesn't have to find the center of gravity because he is the source of gravity. No. So Krishna can perform miracles. At the same time, it is not the devotee's mood that a devotee demands Krishna to exhibit his omnipotence. Krishna displays his omnipotence, where in the he is teaching the Bhagavad Gita, he shows the Virat Rupa. And he shows the Virat Rupa, he shows how he says, by my arrangement they have been killed. So Prabhupada says, when Krishna and Arjuna hears, by my arrangement all these enemies have been killed, and they use the vision also. Bhishmam cha Dronam cha Jayadratham cha, all these warriors are getting destroyed. So Prabhupada says, Krishna, Arjuna doesn't say, Krishna, you have planned to kill them, you kill them, I'll just sit and watch. No. Actually, a devotee's mood is, I want to serve Krishna. And serving Krishna means also that a devotee doesn't demand that Krishna bring his omnipotence for serving the devotee. We have faith in Krishna's omnipotence. But it's not that a devotee deliberately gets into trouble or a devotee is careless and then expects that Krishna should protect him. So that is through omnipotence. And after, so omnipotence was many incidents. You could say the Drupada, the Durvasa incident. But many incidents like that. Then after, what is the acronym we are discussing? So P is teachings. The teachings are where Krishna speaks the Gita. So Arjuna is confused. What is the right thing to do? And this is probably in sports, like in football, there is something called a self-goal. It's like the opponent hits a goal and that's bad. But if you hit a self-goal, that is devastating. Isn't it? So, in many ways, Arjuna has been preparing to fight throughout his life. And it's just the biggest fight of his life, he says, I can't fight. So it's almost like Arjuna is about to hit a self-goal. And Krishna goes, stop. So Krishna protects us through his teachings. Now the way he protects us through his teachings in many different ways. But generally, we talk about protection as there are external dangers. And we want to be protected from those external dangers. But there are also internal dangers. Sometimes we can be our own enemies. Or at least there is something inside us which is our enemy. We have our impurities, they are anarthas. And Krishna protects us from those. And quite often, we are very worried about what dangers will come in our life in future. What if I lose my job? What if I get cancer? What if this thing happens? What if that thing happens? But it is that there are some dangers that we worry too much about, and there are some dangers we do not worry enough about. Like quite often, it is we who can be our greatest enemies. It is we who can sabotage ourselves. Prabhupada would say that, he said, my disciples are not sufficiently afraid of Maya. There's a healthy fear that needs to be there. The word temptations are very strong, and inside us also there are enemies. So if we underestimate our enemies, then we can be destroyed. So there are many things Krishna's teachings give us, but broadly speaking, the teachings tell us about the power of Maya. And then they tell us the power of Krishna. So, now what does this mean? I'll come back to these teachings a little bit later, but let me elaborate on this. Say if somebody has a serious sickness, say they've got some cancer, then the early stages, if you don't actually do some testing, you not even know that there is cancer. Sometimes you catch it only when it's not a very advanced stage. So if some doctor says you've got cancer, you go, no, there's no cancer. There's nothing wrong with it. So we have to take the disease seriously. And then once we take the disease seriously, we have to take the treatment seriously. So like that, in Bhakti, we need to recognize the power of Maya and how dangerous this world is. How much temptation and distraction there is in this world. Now the power of Maya is emphasized much more in the Moksha Marga. Because there the understanding that this world itself is a place of danger. And one has to protect itself. But even in the path of Dharma, That means even when we want to improve our life in this world, there also Maya is there. That while we are trying to work to attain success in this world, there also we all see around somebody may be a very successful person, but they get into some habit like alcoholism. Somebody is very talented and has huge potential for success, but nowadays so many young people are getting into online gambling. Now previously you had to go to at least to go to a gambling den. Now a million gambling dens come to you in your own phone. See, it's a very difficult situation. So there are dangers in this world. So in one sense we could say that there is the power of Maya and we recognize the power of Maya. And there is the power of Krishna. So we understand the power of Maya and we understand the power of Krishna. On the other hand, we don't understand the power of Maya and we don't understand the power of Krishna. So the best is we understand both. That we understand that Maya is very dangerous, it can tempt us, but we also understand that Krishna can protect us. Krishna can lift us above. So this is the description in 714. Daiviyesha gunamai mama maya duratya mam eva ye prapadyante maya vitam talantite. So mama maya duratya, that is, take the power of Maya seriously. But then mam eva ye prapadyante. If you surrender to me, maya vitam talantite. You will go beyond. So now Maya can attack us at two levels. The Maya can attack us at the level of mana, at the level of the mind, and it can attack us at the level of it is through desires. When it attacks at the level of buddhi, it is through doubts. So now, if you see, when Arjuna was bewildered, where was the attack? Was it the level of the mind or at the level of the intelligence? Intelligence. It was not that Arjuna had greed, or when they attack at the level of the mind, there's greed, jealousy, anger. It was not those things. Even if we say it was fear, it was not fear of his own death. There is not a single mention of Arjuna saying that, oh, what if I die? So it is, he is confused about the right thing to do. So when he's talking about Duratyaya, it can be many different things. But Krishna's teachings, they in one sense protect us from ourselves. And it's important for us to take shelter of Krishna's teachings. And now for all of us, we'll go over the teachings and then we'll come back to looking at specifics as they apply to our life. But then after that, what is the next word? Protect. E is empowerment. Empowerment means that, like Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that Mayai Vaite, I will kill you, but Nimittamatra Bhavasavyasachi. You become an instrument for me in the fight. So now, this is where Arjuna at various times fights in extraordinary ways. And Arjuna is extremely talented himself. When we talk about empowerment, that idea that there is something mystical, something extraordinary about the very idea of talent. It is something which we need to reflect. Sometimes, on YouTube we see those videos of, say, Mumbai has got talent, London has got talent. And there are 3, 4, 5-year-old kids and they sing in angelic voices. Or they pick up an instrument and they are playing it. It's extraordinary. People can practice for hundreds of hours and they don't come to that level of ability. So where is that ability coming from? They could say it's genetics. Right? Sometimes there are prodigies and there's nobody in their progenitors who has any ability like that. Beethoven or any big musicians, or their father, grandfather, nobody had that kind of talent. So it's not just genetics. When we say it's past karma, okay, it's past karma, but it is Krishna saying, Paurusha Dushu, I am ability. And this is where the whole idea of Vibhuti comes up. That whenever we see some extraordinary ability in someone, we understand that this ability itself is a gift of Krishna. So, ability itself is empowerment. But then, after ability comes the opportunity to use the ability. And when somebody who grows in a very poor and very underprivileged kind of circumstance, they may be great at maths, but maybe nobody discovers their talent. So the ability is Krishna's mercy, but the opportunity to use that ability. Opportunity is you get the external setting. But after that, there is finally the maturity. Even if you get the ability, even if you get the opportunity, but sometimes a person may just become too egoistic, too proud, and they may lose their head. So Arjuna's glory is not just that he had extraordinary ability. It's not just that he got a guru like Drona who could train him. It was also that he had the maturity. Duryodhana had certain amount of ability, but Duryodhana was quite proud and arrogant and entitled. Arjuna was not like that. Arjuna was always respectful. Arjuna was always very polite and humble in many ways. And one of those is that his willingness to openly submit to Krishna, to ask for guidance. Karpanya dosho bhata svabhava. So asking that is itself a sign of the ability that he has. So when somebody gets an empowerment, so sometimes what happens is we face some difficulty, and just when we are facing some difficulties, we get some idea, okay, maybe I can do like this. And we get the idea and we do it, and the problem gets solved. And others will say, oh, you're such a genius, you're such a brilliant person. And the way we use the word also, I got an idea. It's not that I developed the idea. Our language also is, I just got the idea. It's almost as if it came to us. Now, of course, we may work to implement it. It's not that our effort is not to be considered. But it is often from some source beyond us. We get certain things. And even in science also, any of the major breakthroughs that happen, they happen through what they call as inspiration. Inspiration, intuition, different words are used. It's almost as if the answer is coming to us. And the answer comes, and then just do something extraordinary. So sometimes when Krishna protects us, it is not that Krishna. So we are moving a little bit into more nuances. One is from outside danger is coming, and Krishna is protecting us through some external situation. Now we talk about the danger may come from inside, and Krishna may protect us from inside. By Krishna will use teachings that we remember. Now I'm talking about here, Krishna may empower us, by which when the danger comes, we ourselves rise to the occasion, and we are able to fight against the danger. We are able to overcome the danger or overcome the challenge. So when we say Srila Prabhupada is an empowered Acharya. Now empowerment means that Srila Prabhupada was given that great, extraordinary ability or power or whatever you want to say, language. He could just go all over the world and could just connect with people from any and every background. And not just connect with them, inspire them and transform them. Just inspire them to dedicate their life to Krishna. What is that kind of empowerment? Talking with Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, and he was telling me that Ravindra Swarup was a Prabhupada disciple. He said that they were in Philadelphia, and Prabhupada, when we got Jagannath here, we got Jagannath in ISKCON. At that time, Prabhupada had not yet translated Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there was no literature describing Jagannath. Prabhupada had talked about Krishna. Prabhupada had talked a little bit about Mahabharat. So there's one letter he showed me that one devotee had written to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, I am worshipping the deities very carefully according to the rules that you have told us. I just want to know who is it that I am worshipping. So Prabhupada had that capacity to create such faith in people that Prabhupada is telling us worship this, let us worship this. is extraordinary empowerment. So that is Prabhupada. So empowerment means the ability which comes in a human being, and that ability can get people to do things. So this empowerment, when it comes, it can be sometimes a small level, sometimes it can be huge level. Sometimes a devotee can just distribute 1,000 books in one day. Somebody else, 1,000 books is not distributed the whole lifetime. Isn't it? So some devotees just get extraordinary empowerment. So that is also Krishna protecting us. When there are challenges coming in our life, and Krishna is giving us the ability to meet those challenges, to counter those challenges. So Arjuna, in that sense, was extraordinarily empowered. Whenever any action is done, that there are two aspects to it. Whenever any action happens in the world, say for example, there is a person, that person is empowered to do things. So there is the divine element in the action, and there is the human element in the action. And it is for us to be able to appreciate which element to focus on when. Say for example, I would say Mr. Prabhupada often said that his books were written by Krishna. Krishna dictated the words and he wrote them. Now, we also say that Prabhupada worked so hard, that Prabhupada slept barely for a few hours. I was talking with Mr. Prabhupada disciple, he spoke out of humility, and I won't mention his name, he's a sannyasi guru. He said that I got a realization, he was quite sick and he was recovering from the sickness. So he told me, I realized that I am sleeping more hours in the day than what Prabhupada was sleeping in night. So Prabhupada worked extremely hard. All day he was talking about Krishna to the people who came to meet him, and all night he was talking about Krishna to people who had not yet come to meet him through his books. So now if Krishna was writing the books, then was Prabhupada writing the books? And if Krishna was writing the books, then why did Prabhupada put his name as the author of the books? Why not put Krishna as the author of the books? Isn't it? So when there is the divine and the human coming together, we need to know what to focus on when. So when we want to appreciate the sacrifice and the selflessness, at that time we should focus on the human element. Like Prabhupada worked so hard. Yes, he was an instrument for Krishna, but Prabhupada strove to become a ready and receptive instrument for Krishna. And that is his credit. And when we want to focus on the sublimity or the divinity of the wisdom, at that time we focus on these words are written by Krishna. So it's like, if some devotee gives a wonderful class, and after that we say, Buddhi Buddhimatamasti. You should know that your Buddhi comes from Krishna. That devotee should think like that. Not that we have to remind him. Yeah, that devotee should, if somebody glorifies that devotee is by Krishna's mercy. But if we start telling them like that, then what happens is, yes, that devotee, it's Krishna's empowerment, but the devotee probably studied, the devotee prepared. The devotee is also put in the effort. So that this human-divine partnership that happens when the human becomes an instrument for the divine. So when somebody is empowered, it is not meant to devalue or minimize the effort that they are putting in. Prabhupada worked extremely hard to spread the Krishna consciousness. Similarly, Arjuna was empowered, but Arjuna also tirelessly practiced archery, was talented and practiced it. So that is empowerment. So in one sense, when we are talking about Krishna's protection, in the Kurukshetra war, there are many ways in which Krishna protected Arjuna by giving him extraordinary ability. And that it was Krishna's ability, the ability was Krishna's gift. And that, understanding that is sometimes not very easy. So it's very easy to become proud at that time. The way, for example, Arjuna penetrated through the entire Kaurava army on the day when he killed Jayadratha. Now, of course, Krishna helped him strategically. There are times when we focus on how Krishna wonderfully helped, but there are times when we have to see also how Arjuna strived. When I talked about that story, I mentioned that how when we do all that we can, then Krishna will do what we can't. So when we do what we can, Krishna does what we can't. That is the principle of the two fingers in Damodar Leela also. It's our endeavor and Krishna's mercy. So that is the dynamic of empowerment. Now, sometimes Krishna may actually, what is the next in the word? Protect. So now sometimes Krishna may protect us through challenges. That means that sometimes Krishna may subject us to challenging situations which force us to grow. And sometimes it may appear as if when we are going through those challenging situations, is it, am I actually being protected at all? It is. So earlier I said that, when people hurt us, is it Krishna hurting us to those people? Sometimes we say we are at the right place at the right time, but sometimes it happens we are at the wrong place at the wrong time. Is it that it is that sometimes they say that everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and then things become a complete mess. So is it that Krishna is not protecting at that time? So actually, sometimes Krishna may want us to grow. And grow means what? That, like, there is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And learning to evolve. So for somebody, dharma, artha, kama is their conception of success. And they think that Krishna will protect me in pursuing this. But then sometimes Krishna will protect us by freeing us from this. So broadly speaking, when you talk about challenges, see I mentioned this I think in the last time I had come. In the Vedic tradition, there is this conception of liberation. In the Western world, there is the idea of liberty. In New York, with the Statue of Liberty. Now, both have some idea of freedom over there. But it's almost the opposite idea of freedom. Often the modern Western materialistic idea of freedom is that we are free for desires. That means if a man wants to be with a woman, why should culture stop it? Why should religion stop it? I want to be free for what I want to do. But in the Vedic context, liberation is free from desires. So it's almost the opposite. This is 269. Yanisha sarva bhutana tasyam jagrati sanyati. So somebody who thinks the purpose of their life is to be free for desires, and they get some temptation, you tell them, I resisted the temptation. You're a fool. You had an opportunity to enjoy. Why did you resist the temptation? You just don't understand it. So sometimes when Krishna, so if you see at one level, all the protection that we talked about till now is in one sense at a material level, isn't it? They faced dangers at the material level, and there was protection at the material level. But if somebody is only looking for protection at the material level, then we say that there are times when Krishna came to rescue Draupadi. If Krishna had to come and Krishna was going to come and protect, Krishna would have stopped Yudhishthira from gambling only. Isn't it? So if we are looking for Krishna's protection at the material level, and if that is only our definition of protection, then there will always be times when we will start questioning. Why did Krishna not help over here? Why did Krishna not help over here? So that's why if somebody has only the material conception of protection, then sooner or later their faith can get shaken. That now material conception also, at the material level also, Krishna does protect. It's not that Krishna does not protect. But through this protection, gradually it is our consciousness should become more directed toward Krishna. It is not that our expectation of material protection should increase. They're two very different directions. It's like when we get Krishna's protection, so when we are protected, when somebody is protected materially, so say somebody is very sick, and then all the devotee community does some kirtan and does some prayers, and they have some cancer, and the cancer does the seemingly miraculous recession for the cancer. What is the word? Recession? That basically the cancer goes back. Recession only? Okay. Okay, whatever. It receives it. It just goes back, whatever it is. So when there is a cancer goes away, you will say that is Krishna's mercy. And yes, it is. But now, if that person starts thinking, okay, even the cancer relapses, again Krishna will put it. No. You have to eat healthy, you have to do whatever is required to protect your diet. It's not that when we protected materially, what should happen is that our expectation of expect similar protection more. Now, yes, Krishna can protect. Now that is one way we may go, but we connect with Krishna. That this is where our consciousness starts becoming more and more spiritual. And this is where the journey of the Mahabharata goes. And in some ways, the Mahabharata can seem, at its end, it can seem to be like a tragedy. Because Krishna departs from the world, and then Arjuna is tasked with protecting the queens of Krishna. And then what happens? There are some cowherd people who come and they attack, and Arjuna is not able to do anything. There are many ways in which a warrior can be defeated. It's that, let's say, the boxer is fighting, and the boxer was such a person that earlier they would throw knockout punches. And one punch at the opposite is knocked out, not a knockdown, but knocked out. And now, if the boxer fights and the boxer is not able to even land one punch, all that time the boxer gets dodged, and then one punch is knocked, and the boxer gets knocked out. It's humiliating that you couldn't even touch your opponent. So for that Arjuna, who was known as Amogha Sharam, his arrows would never miss the target. What happened was, his arrows didn't even reach the target. For an archer, there can be nothing as humiliating. When we use a gun, we don't use our power at all. The gun has a mechanical power and it goes, bullet shoots off. But an archer has to shoot with their power, and the force with which they move the string back, that will determine how far the arrow will go. So for Arjuna to not have his arrows even reach the target, for a warrior, there can be nothing more humiliating than that. There are various ways of being defeated. See, a cricket match, say India is playing with some country like Zimbabwe or Holland, and say to be defeated by Holland is bad. But suppose all 10 wickets get out for 0. And we lose totally. That is it is not just a defeat, it's a massacre. Like for Arjuna, it was like that. See, in general, for all of us, there is, when we live in life there are two things. There are the means with which we live, and there is the meaning for which we live. It's like what we live with and what we live for. So now both are important. Like, okay, I live for my family, I want to take care of my family, I want to raise my children. And I live with what? Okay, I get some money, I gain some respect, so that we all are welcome in the good circles of society. There's what we live with and what we live for. Now, if we lose what we live with, there can be loss of what we live with. That is bad, isn't it? Say, somebody is a very wealthy person and they invest all their money somehow in the stocks and everything gets wiped out. What we live with. Now within live with also, there can be two different things. Now there are external resources like wealth, and there are internal abilities. Like somebody may say, okay, I lost money, but I'll make money again. Somebody is an athlete, and maybe somebody is a player in the Indian cricket team, and they were dropped from the team. They lost that opportunity. And they lost all the salary over there. But okay, I can play again, I can excel, I can get back into the team. But they get a career-ending injury. And then what you live with is gone. Now, for many people, what they live with is what they live for. And then it can be terrible. If somebody lives for money, when they lose money, sometimes people just end up ending their lives. It's tragic. So to lose what we live with is bad. But to lose what we live for is much worse. Say, if our entire life is centered on, say, pleasing someone, maybe a parent figure or some elder figure or somebody like that, and then somehow we lose that person departs, or that person rejects us, maybe that person lets us down, and then that person betrays us, somebody who we live for. It is in the Ramayana, Lakshman says to Sugriva that ingratitude and betrayal is the worst of sins. Why? Because if we trust someone, if we live our life centered on someone, and then that person lets us down or betrays us, it is that a person can get completely disoriented. So what am I living for? Like some people can lose trust in that person. Sometimes some people can lose trust in all of humanity because of that person. So to lose what we live for is even worse. But can you imagine if somebody loses both at the same time? And this is what happens to Arjuna. Arjuna is living for Krishna, and Krishna has gone from the world. Arjuna is living with his archery, and his archery skill is also gone. And we cannot imagine a loss like this. Any person would get completely crushed in that. And what is it? And it is Arjuna is crushed. Then Yudhishthira sees Arjuna, at that time what does Yudhishthira say? I have never seen you so dejected. But they have been through a lot together. And he says, what happened? Then Krishna tells, where Arjuna tells that Krishna has departed, that he says that Krishna, who was with me in Khandava, that Krishna who was with me in Kurukshetra, that Krishna who treated me like his own closest friend, that Krishna by whose mercy I was able to do extraordinary things, Deva Vismapanam Mahat, that my ability which even astounded the Devatas, that Krishna has departed. Yanme Paritam Tejo, that he has gone and he has taken my effulgence, my ability with him, and thus I don't know what to do. But it is at that time that Krishna, that he remembers the message of the Bhagavad Gita. And thus he understands it. Although Krishna is not there in a manifest form on the planet, Krishna is still there with him in his heart. And thus he gains shelter over there. So this is, what is this? When these challenges come like this, challenges mean something which we hold very dear, it's just ripped away from us. At that time we think, how is Krishna protecting me? Actually, Krishna is still protecting. What is happening? Krishna is changing our conception of life. My drawing is very great. So this is supposed to be a bird. Let's assume there is a bird. So
Will be a bird.
sorry.
That will be a bird.
Will be a bird. So now there is a baby bird inside the shell. And now when the baby bird is inside the shell, I was in Florida at a devotee's farm, and we were going for a walk over there. And then we actually saw this incident. There was a shell, and the shell was shaking from inside. And the shell was shaking. What was happening was, like the baby bird was coming out of it. So it would shake, and then it cracked the shell, and then a wing came out. And the wing came out, and the shell snapped back. When it snapped back, it just pierced its tender feathers, and then you could feel the bird wincing. Then we were watching, and then a leg comes out, and then again the shell snaps back. And this friend was telling me that you have to let that bird wait, come out on its own strength. If we try to break the shell and bring the bird out, the bird may break free, but the bird develops its strength through breaking the shell. And if we break the shell for the bird, and the bird comes out, the bird may be free from the shell, but the bird does not have a developed enough body to fly in the sky. And then any predator will come and eat the bird. So there are some things which nature takes its own course over there, and others cannot help in that. So the idea is that we are all like birds living inside a particular shell. We have a particular conception of life. We have a particular conception of what is important in our life, and how, if this is protected, if this is right, then everything will be right in my life. And that same shell actually protects the bird. If the shell were not there, the baby bird would not survive. So the shell is vital. So we all have our conception of what is earth, what is of value, what is meaningful in life. So a person in Tamagoda may think the earth of life is that how can I dodge as much work as possible? How many excuses can I come up for not doing work? That convenience, they think that is a very pathetic way to live. Somebody in Rajas may have artha is, I want to gain power, I want to gain glory, I want to achieve things in my life. So that is an evolution in our understanding. At least that person is trying to do something to improve the world. The person comes in Sattva, okay, I want to improve things, but unless my inner world improves, unless I develop some thoughtfulness, unless I contemplate what really matters, I'm not going to grow really in my life. So we all need to evolve in our conception of what is Artha. And we all are living inside a shell, and sometimes the shell has to be broken. And even God can't help us to break that shell, because it is we who have to grow in our understanding. Now God can help us in the sense that God is with us, but it is we who have to go through this. So sometimes the challenges that we go through, they are meant to help us grow. And Krishna may not be seeming to break the shell. Krishna may not be seeming to remove. Doesn't mean Krishna is not there. Krishna is there. He's watching us. He's wanting us to grow. He's wanting us to make the right choices. And He may guide us from within. He may inspire us. But still, it is sometimes if we are expecting this problem to go away. But sometimes what happens is the problem may not go away, but the problem is the way. The problem is the way for our growth. Like Krishna says, Yattadagre Vishamiva Pariname Amritopamo. Something which tastes like poison in the beginning, but they will taste like nectar in the end. So now there's no way to get to the nectar without going through the poison. So these are challenges that we need to go through. And the last is T. T is time. Time means that sometimes the challenges and time are slightly related only. That challenges means it is through the challenges that we grow in our conception of life. But time means that sometimes it may take months and years and decades to actually understand what Krishna was doing, how Krishna was protecting us, what is Krishna doing for us. So what we often, the way things work is, we look at the present and we plan the future. But Krishna looks at the future and plans the present. So because of that, Krishna's vision is much bigger. And time means that it could mean many things. It could be, generally it means in the future. Future could be in a few months. It could be months. It could be years. It could sometimes be another lifetime. That there are some situations where we may not see Krishna's protection in this lifetime. But again, that does not mean that Krishna's protection is not there. So Jatayu in the Ramayana was not protected. In one sense, Jatayu was killed by Ravana. But then was he protected? Yes. The Lord Ram took him on his lap. Lord Ram was with him in this final moment. Lord Ram performed his last rites. That was protection. See, Abhimanyu was not protected. But at that time, Arjuna and Yudhishthira, they are all told, Vasudeva tells them that rather than lamenting, he is in this world, everyone is subject to temptation. We can rise to great levels of success, but we can fall. But he said that Abhimanyu, by laying down his life in a noble cause, has gone to the world beyond temptation, to a world of everlasting delight. Rather than we lamenting for him who has attained an auspicious destination, it is that it is we who have to lament for ourselves that we are still in this world. That we still have to tackle this world and tackle all the temptation and distractions of this world. So time means that sometimes to our finite vision, Krishna's protection may not be seen. That doesn't mean Krishna's protection is not there, but we need to expand our vision. So in this way, in the Mahabharata itself, there are different ways in which Krishna protects the devotees. So from the Mahabharata's perspective, to conclude with this point, there's a bit of a disturbing narrative which says that at the end of the Mahabharata, it is that the Kauravas go to heaven and the Pandavas go to hell. Now we say, how is that possible? So it is the whole Mahabharata is about the pursuit of dharma. What is dharma? What is the right thing to do? And there it seems to be like an ultimate subversion. And those who are dharmic, they went to hell. Those who are adharmic, they went to heaven. But it's not that simple. The idea is that from the perspective of the Mahabharata, even the Pandavas did some questionable things. And because of that, they had to see hell briefly. But after that, they went to heaven. On the other hand, because the Kauravas, they died fighting on the war field. So because of that act of courage, they will go to heaven. But that does not mean their slate is completely wiped clean. See, in the Vedic tradition, neither hell nor heaven are eternal. So because of that act of courage of dying on the battlefield, they will go to heaven. But they have done grievous karma throughout their life. And when their stay in heaven ends, they have to suffer for those results. Now, of course, that is from the Mahabharata's perspective. From the Bhagavatam's perspective, it is that Yave Krishnam Kharavinde. Everybody was there on the battlefield and they saw Krishna. Just by seeing Krishna, everybody was liberated and went back to the spiritual world. So Krishna's presence from the Bhakti perspective like a game changer, like a wild card. Everything changes. All the rules of the game don't work. But the point is that the Pandavas were protected, that they all went back to Godhead to be with Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, he was protected by Krishna. How was he protected? Prabhupada left Vrindavan to go all over the world to share Krishna Bhakti. And he went in his old age. When he was 69, 70, he left. And there are some people who said, Swami, most people when they come at this age, Vrindavan, they say, I'll never leave Vrindavan. So they're thinking that some of the Rajmas is, this person seems to be very attached. Why is he leaving again and again to go to Delhi or going to a mundane city like that? Prabhupada had a grand vision. Now we could see at one level, Prabhupada was far more successful in time. What happened was, Prabhupada was far more successful. For almost 40 years, he tried to serve his Guru Maharaj, nothing seemed to happen. In the last 10 years, it was like a stunning success. 108 temples. 108 temples and over 70 books and thousands of devotees. It's like someone in the cricket match, Throughout the match, it seemed like one team is losing. And the last 5 overs, one batsman comes and bats like a whirlwind and he completely changed the game. Isn't it? Like 5. So Prabhupada was like that. The last 10 years of his life, what he achieved, probably many people will not achieve it in 10 lifetimes. So Krishna rewarded him spectacularly. And we saw that in this world also. At the same time, it was Prabhupada's glory that Prabhupada was not attached even to his service to Krishna. The Prabhupada departed on November 14th, 1977. Now the project that Prabhupada worked for the most was the Juhu temple. And Prabhupada literally fought to protect that temple. And Prabhupada could have said to Krishna, please, let me stay just for a few months, then I can see the inauguration of the temple. And the temple actually got inaugurated just 2 months after Prabhupada departed, on Makar Sankranti in Jan. So, but when Prabhupada was asked in his final days, do you have any last desires? Prabhupada said, Kuch ichha nahi. Kuch ichha nahi. And that shows that for him, his attachment to Krishna was more than even his attachment to his particular service to Krishna. Now, Prabhupada was convinced that this is not his mission, it is Krishna's mission. And Krishna wanted him to play a glorious role, and he had played that role. But now, the next generation will play that role. And Prabhupada was peaceful, Prabhupada focused. The service Krishna wants me to do is now depart from the world. Show my disciples how to depart in Krishna consciousness. And that is what Srila Prabhupada did. So, mysterious and marvelous are the ways in which Krishna protects. And rather than we thinking, will Krishna protect, will Krishna not protect? A devotee's question is based not on doubt but on curiosity. Not doubt, will Krishna protect, but curiosity, how will Krishna protect? So let me keep serving Krishna and time will tell how Krishna will protect. There are many ways in which Krishna protects, and we just keep persisting in our practice of bhakti. So through the Mahabharats, narrative, today we discuss the topic of Krishna's protection. So first, I talked about the major part of the talk was about there is the dharma conception is about we want to transform the world. Transform, and the moksha conception is that we transcend the world. And in both of these, there are almost opposite ideas of how Krishna works or what Krishna's protection would be. And in Bhakti, what happens? We have both these elements. We are in the world, so we want to transform the world also, and we want to transcend the world also. And in transforming, Krishna can help us and protect us. And sometimes in transcending, Krishna can help and protect us. So we discussed, the major part of the talk was the acronym PROTECT. So P was what? Providence. Providence is circumstance. How Krishna protects us. And R was representative. So we discussed providence was how when Duryodhana poisoned Bhima, how that poison was such that actually it worked out that there was a counterpart in the snake bite. Representative was in the Varanavat 5 Rudra protected. Omnipotence was in the gambling match how Draupadi came, or Durvasa Muni also. And key was teachings. Teachings was where Gita was, Krishna delivered the Gita to empower. Now, if we talk the first three things are more like external dangers. The teachings are more to protect us from internal dangers. Then E is empowerment. That here it's more like Krishna gives us, it's like inner change Krishna is doing. Inner change, but it is in terms of increasing our ability, increasing our what we can do. But here in C was challenges. Challenges means, I give the example of the bird in the shell. So empowerment was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra when Arjuna was able to do spectacular things. When we talk about challenges, it is more like the bird in the shell. So here it is about challenges about, it's also an inner change, but here the inner change is about in our conception of what is of value in life. Like we talk about Arjuna, what he lived with and what he lived for. Both were taken away. And still Arjuna did not lose his faith. So through challenges, we evolve in our understanding. So we could say all of these could be at the level of dharma. But then this is at all of these at the level of transforming the world. But then these are more in terms of transcending the world. So of course it's not that neat. He is right. So Krishna may protect us sometimes in this life, sometimes in this life after many years, sometimes beyond this life. So a devotee has that faith that sometimes I may not be able to get the result that I seek, but I am a part of Krishna's plan and I have done my part, and Krishna will get others to do their many parts. And in that way, Krishna's protection will always be there for us. But what we need to do is, we talked about, instead of having, when we face problems, rather than approach that with fear or doubt, we approach that with curiosity. Not will Krishna protect, but how will Krishna protect? And with that curiosity, we keep openness. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That is not just a sutra for telling new people what they should do. It's also for what we need to do. That Jigyasa. How is Krishna acting in my life? We have an openness, then we will always find there is some way or the other by which Krishna is acting in our life, is protecting us, and is drawing us closer to Him. So let us all pray. My dear Lord Krishna, many and mysterious are the ways in which you protect. Please bless me so that I can always have that openness to your plan and your purpose and your protection, so that I can always stay in your service no matter whatever happens in this world. And I can come closer and closer to you through this my journey in this world. Shri Krishna Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.
I'll end this again.